Mr. Deputy Speaker.
Order.
Item 2, resumption of debate on the Resource Sustainability Bill, second reading.
The question is that bill be now read a second time. Who's next? No, he wants to speak first. Okay, no, hang on a minute. Who is it? Associate Professor Walter Teixeira. Sorry. He had swapped. Yes, please proceed. Desmond Choo. Sorry.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. Singapore has had a long-standing commitment to sustainability. In fact, our journey towards sustainability started in the 1960s, when our late Mr. Lee Kuan Yew laid down the foundations for clean and green Singapore, even before it was trendy to be green. Even as we grappled with a fledgling economy and uncertain times, we consciously moved towards cleaner sources of energy, dedicated our resources to cleaning up our major waterways, as well as growing our garden city. We must continue this legacy. Sustainability is anchored in our ability to identify solutions that creatively minimize the trade-offs we have to make, and yet allow us to achieve longer-term goals in multiple domains. In Singapore, it is a commitment to balanced growth that benefits both the current and future generations, as well as a commitment to creating a high-quality living environment. Often such sustainability solutions require that we're able to see different, seemingly disjointed parts of the economy and society function as part of an integrated, interconnected ecosystem. Therefore, changes to the law to better manage how Singapore handles waste and to help businesses to reduce and recycle electronic waste, packaging waste, and food leftovers are a good first step. Singapore is particularly vulnerable to global disruptions caused by climate change. The Amazon, a vital carbon store that slows down the pace of global warming, has seen more than 80,000 fires break out so far this year. It is a 77% rise compared to the same period in 2018. A change in weather patterns likely contributed to this. Urgent action is therefore needed. While we cannot solve the Amazon problem, we can and still must play our part here in Singapore. The Resource Sustainability Bill is a good attempt to create a long-term solution to complement individual efforts in 3R by placing more responsibility on businesses and producers in the supply chain to reduce, reuse and recycle. This aim is also in line with the government's international obligations and reflects our support for the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals, which were adopted in 2015. The bill could also positively impact workers in providing new avenues for job creation. For example, more jobs will be created in supply chain management or specialist fields, for instance, innovation and engineering in streamlining waste disposal, recycling processes, and optimizing packaging designs of products. The next generation of younger Singaporeans entering the workforce will also have very exciting opportunities to play an integral part in the national effort to mitigate the effects of climate change. The labour movement is currently working with tripartite partners to support our workers and young Singaporeans by ensuring skills acquisition, training for new entrants and existing workers in the environmental services field. However, we note that this bill could also affect businesses negatively through changes to existing jobs and companies' processes. In the short term, companies could face increased compliance costs. This could be especially challenging in today's global economy. This could potentially translate to cost-cutting measures felt by workers or consumers. In the longer term, companies may have to restructure the internal processes to reduce cost and promote innovation and sustainability. So I want to check with the Minister, how will the ministry support businesses and workers through these short-term and long-term changes? Specifically, should there be extensions and/or staggering of timelines to encourage compliance by companies and time for workers to adapt? How do we expect to provide time also for workers to take on necessary training? We should aim to enable workers to keep their jobs while ensuring that this process continues. In addition, we also cannot leave our SMEs behind. Can more assistance be provided to the smaller ones who might struggle to afford the resources for compliance? Could grants be provided to smaller companies to help them comply? The labour movement will support workers through this transition. It is prepared to work with the ministry to help our workers and companies adapt for this change. I have some technical points of clarification that I will seek from the Minister. First, Section 7(3) appears to exempt any manufacturers of regulated products from being considered as producers, and therefore subject to registration and/or licensed scheme requirements, if the regulated product was manufactured for or on behalf of a Singapore-connected person. Section 19(2) is similar in the context of the use of specified packaging. What examples are envisaged by this exemption? How would we know whether a manufacturer of regulated product would specifically be manufacturing the product for or on behalf of a Singapore-connected person? Are there estimates as to how many companies could feasibly take shelter under this exemption? On the face of it, it appears that many products supplied and manufactured in Singapore would generally be manufactured for or on behalf of Singapore-connected persons, that is, Singapore citizens, PRs, or companies with a Singapore connection. Furthermore, Sections 12(1)(2) and Sections 20(1) make reference to the thresholds which the Minister may prescribe for regulated consumer products and packaging, respectively. Can we have clarification on how the prescribed threshold will be determined, what are the criteria, and how will this be implemented? As mentioned by the Prime Minister in his National Day rally speech, while we may not be able to halt climate change by ourselves, we all need to do our part to contribute to the global effort. Let us continue to strive for sustainability, not only because of the world we wish our future generations can inherit, but because we believe we stand to reap the rewards for doing so in a very tangible way. The Singapore story is testament to our belief that economic growth and sustainability are themselves not mutually exclusive, but instead are mutually reinforcing and beneficial. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I support the bill.